Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? My name is Paul Rosenbaum. I'm chairman of the commission, and this is a special meeting of the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. Before we get started, I want to make just a couple of comments. I received an email from the governor yesterday, and she said, "Thank you for your work on the commission." And I wrote her back and I said, "All my pleasure, especially when you work with people who are dedicated, sincere, intelligent, and have nothing but the interest of the state of Oregon on their minds." And that not only includes, I'm not just saying this, I believe it, that not only includes the agency and all of its employees, but also the commissioners. And I have been very, very pleased working with these commissioners. They're very, very dedicated. One thing that I want to tell you is that we went around the state of Oregon all summer long, and we met lots of people from all over the state, people who deal in the wine industry, people who deal in the marijuana industry. We told them in every single meeting, we're here to help you. We're here because we believe that this is a young, it's a growing, it's a vibrant, and obviously it's a legal product and industry that's going to grow and grow and grow in the future. We are not here to put any impediments in your way. We're here to help when we can. The overwhelming obligation that this commission has is the fact of public safety and public concern for the people in this state. That overrides everything. That's the most important thing. If we ever sit up here and do anything at all, we're doing it because the public health and safety of the constituents of this state are the most important thing that we have. That's why we're here today. We are not trying to put any impediments in the ability of people to make a living, but we also are extremely cognizant of the fact that our obligation is to the public health and safety of the people in this state. Having said that, who is our first?
Jeff Rhodes from the governor's office, Mr. Chair, is going to give us a statement.
Jeffrey Rhodes. Thank you. I guess we have to take the roll call first.
Commissioner Curran? Commissioner Miletus?
Here.
Commissioner Palcic?
Here.
Commissioner Raval?
Here.
Commissioner Floyd? Here. Commissioner Harper?
Here.
Chair Rosenbaum?
Here. Mr. Rhodes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank everybody for coming in today for our emergency meeting regarding the implementation of Executive Order 1909. For the record, my name is Jeff Rhodes. I'm Governor Brown's Senior Policy Advisor for OLCC, gaming, and the opioid epidemic. I want to acknowledge that this hasn't been an easy policy conversation for us. We're, of course, dealing with an emerging national epidemic with a growing number of cases. The latest numbers are 1,299 cases with 26 deaths, 2 of which have occurred in the state of Oregon. This is occurring across 49 states. And as our state epidemiologist has said, these numbers will continue to grow not only in Oregon, but nationwide. Indeed, every new day seems to bring increased numbers. Governor Brown's executive order consists of a number of component parts, which includes a ban on flavored vaping products, and that includes nicotine and cannabis products, importantly, as well as a rolling examination of identified causes as we learn more from experts. The order also includes a development of plans for consumer warnings, for provider reporting and tracking of emerging cases, for education campaigns, and requirements for the development of further legislation. In addition to the action taken by OLCC and the Oregon Health Authority, the governor has tasked both me and Tina Edmond, our healthcare policy advisor, with the establishment of the governor's Vaping Public Health Work Group, and the two of us will co-chair that work group. Our charter will be to advise the governor and state agencies on action to address the emerging vaping epidemic. And of course, we're going to be taking an evidence-based approach to this and making policy recommendations based on that evidence. I'm hopeful that all of you will engage with the process as we move forward, and that goes for the commissioners, but of course everybody in this room as well, and the many folks that I've had conversations with over the past 2 weeks. Now, I know the approach that we're taking will affect many businesses across the state, and I do want to profusely thank everyone that I've had the occasion to speak with over the past 2 weeks. Your perspective has been instrumental in the crafting of our response to this epidemic. And I, of course, want to thank Director Marks and the amazing staff at OLCC for the response to this growing crisis, the good work in responding so quickly and efficiently to the governor's executive order. I really can't say enough about the work of the agency. The result, I feel, is a balanced approach to this crisis that will strive to protect human life and public health while also allowing Oregonians access to legal and tested vaping products where appropriate. Thank you.
Any questions?
Fantastic.
Thank you. Who's next on here? Because I don't have the list, so I'm sorry.
We have the entire staff that's presenting both the reasoning for the rule and the rule itself. So.
The first one up then is Danica.
Yeah, they'll.
Thank you, Commissioners, Chair Rosenbaum. For the record, my name is Danica Hipsman. I am the Senior Policy Advisor over alcohol and marijuana here for OLCC. I'm here to give you a little bit of background on the proposed rules that are before you today, and then some of my other colleagues behind me are going to give you some additional detail on how we got to some of the particular aspects of these rules. In her executive order last week, Governor Brown directed the OLCC and the Oregon Health Authority to address a critical public health crisis related to vaping. As Jeff just mentioned, there's almost 1,300 patients nationwide of serious lung illnesses related to vaping, and as of October 8, 26 deaths spread out over 21 states. Sadly, these numbers are going to continue to grow as the CDC does continue to put out new data and information every year. The tragedy of this crisis is acutely felt here in Oregon, given that 2 of those nationally reported deaths have occurred in the state. It's also been reported that many of the Oregonians sickened have consumed cannabis vaping products. And 5 of the 8 Oregon cases of sicknesses with vaping products have purchased products from an Oregon retailer. For this agency and Oregon's thriving but young and fragile cannabis industry, this should be particularly alarming. OLCC believes that the state's program can and should be a model for the country in the benefits of national legalization. And as such, we also believe that when there's a threat to its viability, we must act quickly and sternly. To do otherwise would ignore the incredible hard work that so many stakeholders have put into this industry over the years to legitimize it and make it something that the nation can look to as a model. The governor's executive order directs the agencies to ban all flavored vaping products for 6 months. It extends to all forms of vaping, cannabis, and nicotine. OLCC and OHA have different roles in implementing that directive, and the rules before you today impact cannabis retailers and consumers only. The proposed temporary rules would ban all flavored cannabinoid vapor products, including those flavored with non-marijuana terpenes. The rule provides a mechanism for licensees to request an exemption from the ban for certain types of botanically or naturally derived terpenes, and the agency is going to be working with the industry, the governor's office, and public health partners to develop the standards for those exemptions. For now, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague TJ Sheehy to talk a little bit more about the non-marijuana terpene component of this ban.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
For the record, I'm TJ Sheehy, Manager of the Marijuana Technical Unit. As Danica provided as an overview, we have in Oregon experienced a portion of the national outbreak. Where Oregon stands out, however, is in places like California, the Midwest, New York, the problem has predominantly been that of counterfeit items, illicitly purchased items. Oregon stands out because at least 5 of the 9 individuals that have been sick consumed marijuana, and all 5 of them shopped at OLCC licensed stores. There's no evidence to date that any of the consumption was from counterfeit cartridges, tampered cartridges, or illicit purchases. That lays the issue out pretty stark for us, for the issue in Oregon for the OLCC to confront. The issue for us to confront is the safety of the products and ingredients that are currently sold in and allowed in our stores that may be making consumers sick. Danica provided an overview of the rule. This rule will ban for 6 months flavored vape products. That extends to a ban on non-marijuana terpenes. Terpenes, the quick synopsis of that, they're essentially flavor and scent, naturally occurring chemicals that can be naturally derived, botanically derived. They occur naturally in marijuana, but they can also be artificially derived. Our rule will only allow marijuana-derived terpenes to be in vape products, and specifically only marijuana-derived terpenes that are created within our licensed system, because marijuana terpenes are marijuana items and must stay in our closed-loop system. The rationale for this rule extending to a ban on non-marijuana terpenes is fourfold. One is the safety of the ingredients themselves. There are terpene manufacturers that have safety sheets that say things like, do not vaporize. This product has not been evaluated for safe use in vaping. The sole responsibility is the individuals purchasing the product to assess its safety. Quite frankly, there is no proven safety of these products at all, and in some cases they specifically say do not vaporize them, which is the use of these products. In the last couple of weeks, many people have raised issues that this is too broad of a net, saying that generally regarded as safe standards include some of these ingredients. Specifically, however, GRAS is specific to safety of ingestion of these products and components. There is no proven safety of inhalation via vaporization, which is very different and creates different chemical reactions when inhaling these. The second reason for the extension to non-marijuana terpenes is that the manufacturers of these products are unlicensed and unregulated. They're not licensed by us. They're not regulated by us. They are not licensed or regulated by anyone else. By definition, these non-marijuana terpenes are created outside the OLCC system and sold into it. No one regulates the manufacture of them. There are some general accreditation standards that exist, like GMP and ISO standards, but those standards are about process. They are not about the ingredients or the inputs or the safety of those things. The third reason is that these are completely unknown black boxes in terms of their contents, even by the licensees who purchase these and use them in their products, let alone the consumers who are consuming them. Non-marijuana terpene mixes, the purchasers of those have to take on faith from the manufacturer that they are what they say they are. Moreover, those safety sheets that say things like do not vaporize also say things like contains other natural and artificial ingredients without specifying what those are. Saying things like specific chemicals, chemical identities, and or exact percentages of composition has been withheld as a trade secret. Quite frankly, no one buying these things knows what's in them, let alone the consumers who are purchasing them and ingesting them, inhaling them. The fourth reason, and probably the most important, is the testing standards for these items. Under the OHA testing rules for marijuana items, extracts and concentrates are tested for potency as well as solvents and pesticides. And that includes items that have marijuana-derived terpenes in them. But when someone puts non-marijuana-derived terpenes in them, it changes it from an extract and a concentrate to what's called an other cannabinoid product. So the oil itself, the cannabis oil itself, before having the non-marijuana terpenes added into it, is tested for solvents and pesticides. But after these things are added, which themselves are untested for solvents and pesticides, after those marijuana terpenes are added in, the final product that will be vaporized and inhaled is tested only for potency. It is not tested for pesticides or solvents. So in all, these non-marijuana terpenes are of unknown sourcing, unregulated, at best dubious safety data, and they enter our market untested and flow to consumers untested. This rule does create a narrow pathway for non-marijuana terpenes that are demonstrably safe. That, as Danica said, will be defined over the coming month in terms of what the criteria and the process is for that. But ultimately, these ingredients that are appealing for an exemption to this ban will have to prove up on sourcing, ingredients, safety, and testing. And now Shannon Hoffeditz, our Director of Compliance, will speak to how this rule will be communicated and implemented.
I have one question on it. On the terpenes in a pure form, I know this because I'm in the chemical business, that really is a solvent. And terpenes in pure form is a solvent, and they're used in cleaning applications all over the world. The other thing that I think that's an important point because from a chemical industry point of view, that's not safe.
To vaporize and inhale those,
you wouldn't
it's not safe. You wouldn't vaporize cleaning solutions.
And purified non-cannabis terpenes have a significant level of acetone in it.
So the OHA testing rules, I believe, do test for acetone as one of the analytes for solvents. And so there is an action limit. Essentially, if it tests above that, if it's a marijuana extract with marijuana-derived terpenes, it has to pass a range of testing, 40 or 50 analytes for pesticides and solvents before going to consumers.
Which is a very high level. Okay. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Chair Rosenbaum, Commissioners, for the record, my name is Shannon Hoffeditz. I'm the Director of Compliance. In order to implement these emergency rules, the Compliance Division plans to start making calls to all retailer and processor licensees starting tomorrow morning and continuing until the list is complete. During the calls, we will be notifying the licensees that the emergency rules went into effect and that effective October 15th, 2019, they will need to remove all flavored cannabinoid vapor products from their sales inventory. We will also be sending out a compliance bulletin that provides the general overview of the rule, as well as the specific rule information. Also contained within the compliance bulletin will be frequently asked questions and specific instructions to the licensees regarding what to do with the product they have on hand that meets the ban criteria. On October 15th, 2019, after all the calls are placed and the rules are in effect, inspectors will conduct checks of the recreational marijuana licensees to confirm compliance. The marijuana call center that handles many of these calls will be staffed on Monday to handle the inquiries that come in regarding general questions on the ban. The specific packaging and labeling questions will be routed to the marijuana packaging and labeling program. And with that, my coworker Anthony Gilkowski will be discussing the packaging and labeling portion of this.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Anthony Gilkowski, and I'm the OLCC's Packaging and Labeling Specialist. I'm here to discuss how licensees and the general public can use labeling to determine whether a product is subject to the ban and what they can do if they have questions about specific items. The labeling requirements for products subject to the ban are very distinct. Right on the very front of the label is the product identity, and that product identity makes it very clear that there is substances in the product other than marijuana. Common examples include marijuana extract with non-marijuana derived terpenes, flavored marijuana extracts such as berry or grape. These types of products must also have an ingredient list. The ingredients that would indicate the item is subject to the ban are non-marijuana terpenes, artificial, and natural flavors. These labeling elements should make it very clear what products are subject to the ban. However, if licensees and consumers have problems or questions about these particular products, they can reach out and contact OLCC's Packaging and Labeling Program at marijuana.packaging@oregon.gov, and we will be devoting extra resources to answer these questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Kelly Rout.
Good morning,
Good morning, Chairman Rosenbaum, Commissioners. For the record, Kelly Rout, Director of the Administrative Policy and Process Division. I am here to present to you rules for temporary and initial action. Commission staff are proposing to adopt a new rule and amend an existing rule to implement Executive Order 1909, issued on October 4th, 2019 by Governor Brown. Staff proposed to adopt a rule to prohibit the sale of cannabis vapor products containing flavor or non-marijuana terpenes in licensed recreational marijuana retail stores, and prohibit the manufacture of these products by licensed recreational marijuana processors. This rule defines flavor broadly and consistently with the Oregon Health Authority's rules that are also being adopted today. Proposed rule language further includes a provision for staff to develop and implement a process for licensed processors to request an exemption for cannabinoid vapor products containing terpenes derived from botanical sources other than cannabis. As staff have mentioned in their comments, this process will be developed in the coming month. Violation of this rule is classified as Category 1. While our hope is that there are no violations of this rule, Non-compliance may result in an immediate suspension and license cancellation. However, as with all of our cases, the Commission may use its discretion to impose sanctions based on the circumstances of the case. Commission staff also proposed to amend an existing rule on audit, compliance, and random testing to add additional categories and forms of testing that the Commission can require of licensees. This amendment is necessary to implement the executive order to ensure that if we suspect a product contains banned substances, we can require a licensee to submit the product for testing. If adopted, these rules will be effective on Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, for a maximum of 180 days. With that, I'm happy to answer any further questions. Otherwise, I present these rules to you for your adoption.
Any questions?
Sure. Within that 180 days, will we be convening any work groups, hearings, things like that from the industry?
Chair Rosenbaum, Commissioner Miletus, I believe that there is a work group that will be established that Steve will be participating on. As far as Commission staff, I think that's still yet to be determined.
Since this will come back to us, I'd like to make a suggestion for consideration, and that is if any exemptions are in front of you, there should be some language that those exemptions specifically have to come before this Commission to approve it.
Thank you, Chair Rosenbaum. So for clarification, you're saying coming back to you for potential permanent rulemaking?
Absolutely. Steve, do you want to say anything at this point?
Well, no, I think we're set on the rule. Maybe after you take action on the rule, I'll have something to say at that point, but I think it's appropriate for you to do your consideration and take action.
Okay. Commissioner Harper.
I move to temporarily adopt OER 845-025-2805 and amend OER 845-025-5760, effective October 15, 2019 to April 11, 2020, and to initiate rulemaking on this matter and hold a hearing at staff's discretion.
Any further discussion?
Commissioner Curran?
Yes.
Matt Miletus? Commissioner Miletus?
Yes.
Commissioner Palcic? Commissioner Palcic?
Yes.
Commissioner Raval?
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Harper?
Yes.
Chair Rosenbaum?
Yes.
Thank you.
With that, any further comments? No? Meeting adjourned. And thank you, the audience, for coming. We appreciate it.